one of the things that struck me on Sunday was when Bobby mentioned how just like our teacups at the meeting are disposable cups, but they carry precious tea. Likewise, our lives on earth are disposable, but they have the possibility of carrying the precious life of Jesus Christ. That really blessed me. And it reminded me of a verse in 2 Peter chapter 3. If you're going to turn there, 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 11, it says, since all these things are to be destroyed in this way, what sort of people ought you to be? Since you know that your life and everything you work for and, on this earth is going to be crumpled up just as much as you crumple up one of those cheap silo cups, what sort of people ought you to be in holy conduct and godliness? And this is the phrase that struck me: looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be destroyed by burning and the elements will melt with intense heat. And that looking for and hastening has spoken to me recently. If you know, Jeremy, that this life is passing quickly, and if you know that your life is going to be crumpled up, or just like Santos shared a while back, it's going to be like a Monopoly board that gets folded up and put back in the box. What sort of person ought you to be? And I've often thought of that word hastening before, because it seems so impossible. And the impossibility of it, I can be drawn to, whoa, what does it even mean to hasten the coming of the Lord? And it's easy for me to overlook looking for. And the Lord has really put that word looking for. Am I looking for his return on my heart? And one of the phrases that's come to my mind a lot recently is be dressed in readiness, and let your lamp always be lit, and keep on the alert. It's something Jesus said again and again. And just like we heard from the Sermon on the Mount, he often speaks about don't be anxious. And he emphasizes it a lot towards the end of his ministry when he was instructing his disciples. One thing he said was over and over again is keep on the alert, keep on the alert. And it was a challenging question for me to ask myself, if I know my life's just going to be crumpled up, what's the proof? I'm looking for the Lord's return. And the thing that challenged me was to think, if the Lord were to return right now, would I be surprised? Would I be caught off guard? Or would there be this sense in my heart of finally? And not what do I know the right answer is, but what's the actual answer? I think everybody thinks that the right answer is to say, oh, I've been waiting for the Lord, I'm so excited. But just kind of entertaining the thought experiment, the Lord comes right now. Am I surprised? And just even a little, just if there's a little bit of surprise in my heart, it shows that the things of this earth are more real to me than the heavenly things, than the things above. That I don't really have it in my mind that my life's going to be crumpled up just like one of those teacups. And I remember years ago reading Revelation, and as I was reading it, I was thinking while I was reading it, this is so unreal. We're talking about these, beasts and, these things that are, it seemed otherworldly. And the Lord convicted me as I read Revelation at that time. This is more real than the couch you're sitting on. I remember where I was very specifically. You think this couch is real? It's nothing compared to what these words are that you're reading. And these beasts and all of these signs that are happening, they seem to you like they're the vision. This life is the cup that's going to be crumpled up. And I started praying at that time, and it's a prayer the Lord's put on my heart again. Make the spiritual realm more real to me than the physical realm. Make the things of God and the things of heaven and the things of eternity far more real to me. And as I was interacting with the statement from Sunday, it's just going to get crumpled up. And interacting with Peter's statement here in 2 Peter 3, it just reminded me, I'm not looking for the return of Christ as much as I want to be. I want there to be more looking in my heart. And it's no one else can evaluate that. No one else can know, but I can say for myself, I can do better at not looking forward to, but looking for the return of Christ. Not forget, but setting aside for a second, the even higher goal of hastening his return. I'm not even passing on the threshold of looking for his return. I don't feel. And as I was seeking the Lord, just saying, how do I know if I'm looking for your return? What are the marks of someone who looks for his return. And I didn't look up the verse, but the verse that came to my mind, the reference, if somebody knows it, please share it. It says, regard the patience of the Lord as salvation. I think Peter also wrote it. It says somewhere in those letters, regard the patience of the Lord as salvation. And specifically, what it made me think is, if I'm looking for the Lord, it should affect how I look at today. The way I look at today should change. And for me, I would say many times I'm always tempted to discouragement. Every new day that starts, I'm tempted to feel kind of like a sense of, or blah or dread or whatever. And the Lord's encouraged me even this morning by God's grace. Again, where did these children come from? I can't take credit even for this thought. But when I woke up this morning, the Lord reminded me, today is the day of salvation. Regard the patience of the Lord as salvation. If you're looking for me and I haven't come back yet, what's one way you can know you're looking for me? If you look at today and you go, I get another day to live for Jesus. Yes. Yesterday's behind me, and I ended the day, and oftentimes I end the day with thoughts of, wasn't quite up to the mark. I wish I could have, and not like in a condemning way, but just I fell short of the glory of God, and I don't want to. If I open my eyes and he hasn't returned, part of the proof I'm looking for the Lord is I go, today's the day of salvation. Today I can honor him. There's no sense in feeling a sense of dread. This is the day the Lord has made. Why has he made it? That I might enter into more of his salvation. And to me, just this morning, as I opened my eyes, I felt this, and it was like I said, otherworldly a second ago, it was other Jeremy Lee. It was not me, but this thought of, I can live today for the Lord. Forget what lies behind. Today is a day I can live for the Lord. Today is a day of salvation. And that to me is one encouraging proof that, will I leap out of bed? Sometimes, I don't know about you, depending on when the alarm goes off, I'm like, it's like and now because of age, increasingly there's a noise that accompanies. But I thought of Bartimaeus, when they said, hey, take heart, the Lord's calling you. It says he leapt up and he threw off his cloak. And I thought, and I thought of Bartimaeus. Will I throw the comforter off, just like Bartimaeus threw the cloak off? And will I hear, it says, take heart, the Lord is calling you. When I open my eyes and he hasn't come, do I go, this is going to be the best day of my life by God's grace? Not because of some pop psychology, self-helpy, but because I say, I believe the reason the Lord hasn't come back yet is because he wants me to enter into his salvation more. And this can be the very best day. And that's a simple proof that I am looking for his return. I thought
that verse was 2 Peter 3:15.
3. Oh yeah, so it's right there. Yeah. That may be why it was on my mind, right next door. The other thing, I thought of a few things, but I'll just mention one other thing just in the interest of time. Mark chapter 14 and verse 38. What's another proof that I'm looking for the Lord's return? This is in the Garden of Gethsemane when he's told his disciples, all of you are going to fall away on account of me. And then he tells his disciples, keep watch and pray. And they fall asleep. And then he comes back to them. And in Mark 14, verse 38, he says to them, keep watching and praying that you may not come into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And I feel the Lord, but that was just in my daily portion this morning. And I really felt the Lord spoke to me in that verse. Are you praying against temptation? Jesus taught us to pray, lead me not into temptation. Jesus warned his disciples in the garden, keep watching and praying that you won't come into temptation. And as I just honestly laid my life against this verse, I go, it's not a regular cry in my heart, Lord, don't even let me be tempted. And as I thought about the topic on Sunday of hating sin, not just avoiding sin, but hating it. What's the proof that I hate sin? What's the proof that I'm looking for Christ's return? I don't even want to be tempted. I don't want temptation to come across my path. I know I'm weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And the danger of temptation, I think, has become somewhat lessened to me for whatever reason. I don't know why it is. Maybe I've become accustomed to it, but I was convicted as I read this morning that I failed to heed the Lord's words. Keep watch and pray that you won't enter temptation. Do I think it's just that that was just for those 3 guys in the Garden of Gethsemane? They need to keep watch and pray they won't enter into temptation, but he's not asking me to do that. I think that that's foolishness. I think it's arrogance. And I believe that a genuine hatred of sin, like we heard about on Sunday, will be marked by a humble watching and praying. Just like, you think about COVID, we watch for the virus, we mask, we take all sorts of precautions. We are endlessly willing to be inconvenienced, it seems, as a society, if not on the individual level. But sin is much worse than sickness. Am I willing to be inconvenienced spiritually? Am I more willing to be inconvenienced because of a longing to avoid temptation than I am because of a desire to avoid getting sick? These are a couple of evidences, proof that I'm looking for his return. I feel these are areas where I am not, I feel Lord's given me a hope and he's given me a promise that it can be different. You can be looking more. You can be regarding today and tomorrow morning, I hope. And I have to say, Lord, you have to do it. I can't do it myself, but I want to wake up tomorrow morning like Bartimaeus and say, today's the day of salvation. In my flesh, there dwells no good thing. And maybe that's the last verse I'll mention. Matthew 19:26. Jesus' disciples said, who can be saved? Who can be saved? They just heard that a rich man can't enter. They thought rich people, they were like the favored ones. And Jesus said, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter. And their response was, well, they had the best shot. Who can possibly be saved? And Jesus' response is, with people, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. And I want to have that attitude. It's impossible. It's impossible to wake up tomorrow morning with a good attitude. But Lord, would you remind me? Would you let me hear your voice? Just like the people on the roadside said, take heart, the Lord's calling you. Lord, will you remind me to take heart? And will you give me the faith to respond with that? Leaping out, not trudging out, leaping out of bed saying, I get another day. I'm looking for your return. I want to be found diligent. I want to be found watchful.
Waiting for the Lord.
Waiting. Yeah. Wait. Those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. And even my resolve to wait isn't enough. He has to remind me, but I believe that he wants to. I want to more and more. I want it to be true that I regard all of this life just like a crumpled cup. But the blessed privilege we have is that this crumpled cup can be the entrance into salvation, can be entrance into the life of Christ. And so far from being disposable in a sense, it's incredibly precious. That's the paradox of our faith. Our lives are disposable, and yet we can partake of the life of Christ.